In today's video, we are going to do a review and some benchmarks of Hostinger's most popular hosting plans. So if you have been looking at Hostinger but can't decide which plan would be the best one for you, this is going to be the perfect video to watch. So I'm going to compare Hostinger's premium plan to Hostinger's business plan, and Hostinger's business plan versus Hostinger's cloud startup plan, and how fast are they, what can they do, what would I recommend as the ideal use for each of these plans. So if all that sounds interesting, then keep watching. So we'll divide the video up into a few sections here. We'll start with some WordPress benchmarks using each of the plan. We'll do some page speed testing using e-commerce websites as well as lightweight websites as well. We'll do some network download speed tests on each of the plans. We'll look at the email features on the plans, the additional specifications and feature differences between the plans, and the technical support as well. So this is pretty much all you need to know if you're comparing Hostinger's business plan versus Hostinger's cloud startup plan versus Hostinger's premium plan. So let's get on with it. I'll also mention that if you are interested in any of these plans, there's a link in the description, and I was able to organize with Hostinger to get my own coupon code for the channel. So you guys will get a discount if you use that code IdeaSpot in the checkout. You'll get an extra discount on their already pretty good prices. So check that out if you're interested. So on my own account, I've actually gone ahead and set up each of these different plans. So I've signed up for Cloud Startup, Business Web Hosting, and Hostinger's Premium Web Hosting, so I can compare them side by side. Let's start with the WordPress benchmarks. So the two tools I like to use, WordPress Hosting Benchmark tool by Anton Alexandrov. I really like this one for comparing hosting. The other really good one is WP Performance Tester by Kevin Ohashi. I set up a basic website on each of these, and I'll show you the results that I got in comparison. Okay, so first up with the WordPress Hosting Benchmark tool. This gives us a score out of 10. The higher is better. We've got our Hostinger plans down here. Hostinger's Premium Shared got a 7.8. Hostinger's Business Plan got an 8.2. Hostinger's Cloud Startup got an 8.4. These are all really good results, especially for the price that you are paying with Hostinger, and given the fact that it's fully managed server, you can set it up without any technical skill, and it's all managed and maintained by Hostinger. And it includes email and some other cool features as well. So I think the package they're giving you, excellent value and pretty good performance as well, outperforming some other really well-established brands like SiteGround over here, Name Hero over here, and DigitalOcean here. The only quicker ones I've tested on the channel personally have been unmanaged hosting. So we've got Vultr High Frequency and RackNerd's Horizon. These are unmanaged servers. So you have to be able to manage your own server. You have to do a bit of back-end administration work. So this is really only for technically skilled people. Can get a pretty good value, but you have to do the server management yourself. But this is suitable for a wide range of users. Even beginners can use these and get a good value and good performance on their web hosting with any of these any of these Hostinger plans from business up to cloud. And the premium one was a little bit slower. I will talk about a little bit why I think this one is a little bit slower, but definitely I can recommend these two for very good performance and a very fair price. So with that Hostinger premium plan, I did get a bit of a slower result, 7.8. And I think that is because of this result here with its file system, where the numbers were a little bit lower than its competitors. And so file system writability, local file copy and access speed, and the small IO test. So those were a little bit lower. I think that is because if we look at our features here, these ones have NVMe storage on the business and cloud startup plan, compared with the premium plan on Hostinger, only has SSD storage. So that is going to be while the file system is going to be slower with SSD storage compared to NVMe storage. And that leads us to that slower performance on our benchmark. So I think that explains why this one is cheaper and a little bit lower in terms of its performance. So that is really a key point, particularly if you have a large website with a lot of files. I think SSD should be avoided. You should go with one of these ones. And generally, if you just want better performance, just pay a little bit extra and get that NVMe storage. Now, this is important for running WordPress or other content management systems. But if you want to use Hostinger's own web page builder, I noticed that it doesn't seem to make much difference between them. I'll talk a bit about that later. But if you just want to use Hostinger's builder, that doesn't seem to be much of an issue. And I'll talk about that a bit later as well. So our next benchmark was with WP Performance Tester. So this is an execution time for the WordPress benchmark. So the lower number here is better. So we've got a Hostinger Premium, Hostinger Business, and Hostinger Cloud Startup plan here. These was how many seconds it took. So less than half a second on all of these. This is all really quite good. I noticed that this benchmark is a little bit inconsistent with its results compared to the other tool. So I kind of prefer the previous tool, but this one is still worth running. And interestingly, the business plan was the quickest one here. And the only time I've got a quicker result is ultra high frequency. Interestingly, identical benchmark performance time on that business plan. So that was interesting. A little bit surprising that this was a little bit quicker, but that just might be the server conditions when I tested. You might get a different result if you tested it at a different time, but that's just what I got, and I'm going to share the results with you as is. I should also point out that all of these hosts are actually really good. I think the industry average is 3 seconds. So everything I've tested on the channel are services that I particularly like. So SiteGround, Hostinger, RocketNet, DigitalOcean, Vultr, RackNerd. All of these are really pretty good hosts. So comparing them, all of these are good. Even this standard DigitalOcean is still better than the industry average. So any of these are pretty good in terms of their WordPress performance. Next thing I wanted to test was the network performance, because previously I did have some issues between some of these cheaper plans on Hostinger, but thankfully this time when I tested it, I tested a 200 megabyte test file with a zip file and downloaded them from a data center in North America close to where Hostinger hosts theirs. And all of the plans I have, the startup plan, the business plan, and the premium plan, they all took around 18 to 20 seconds to download that 200 megabyte zip file, which indicates we're getting around about 100 megabits per second in terms of our network download speed for the premium plan, the business plan, and the cloud, startup cloud. They're all operating on the similar sort of network speed. So there's no throttling. That was the main complaint I had last time I looked at premium about a year ago. For those of you who've been following the channel for a long time, I looked at the premium plan about 1 year ago. I said, cheap, but what's the catch? Actually took 2 minutes and 41 seconds to download my test file back then. So it's really good to see they've made some improvement. Even over that 1 year period, they've given some more network resources right across. Even the cheapest plan is much quicker in terms of its download speed limit. Next thing I want to talk about is hosting as a website builder. So in my previous video, which I'll link to in the description, I'll show you exactly how to set up and build a website using hosting as a website builder. This one is really easy for beginners to use. If you've used something like Wix or Squarespace or Shopify before, this gives you a very similar point and click user-friendly experience. You can even put online stores onto your site in just a few clicks. So I really quite like this. Check out that previous video if you're interested in using that. But I set this up on the premium plan, on the business plan, and on the startup plan, and just run some tests just to see what the speed difference was. This was really interesting because hosting as builder, its performance was the same across all the plans. So I tested a 40 megabyte test PDF file, and all accounts could download this in 0.4 seconds, around 0.4 seconds, which works out to about a 1 gigabit network download connection. So that is really good that they're giving us that. I think that is the enterprise grade CDN, content delivery network, that they're using on their hosting a builder. So the catch is these website builders limit the page files to 50 megabytes. So you can do large images, short videos, and documents. You can't host other kinds of files on there. That's why I had to test with a PDF rather than a zip file. So it doesn't matter which plan you're on, premium, business, or cloud. All of them run really well. I ran this through GT metrics, got exactly the same metrics. 1.4 second largest contentful paint on my example template page, and the time to first byte was just 46 milliseconds. So really good performance from hosting as builder. You obviously have to be using Hostinger to use their builder. That's the main catch. I've talked about that in the previous video, but let's have a look at what the difference is in terms of features with these Hostinger builder websites. All right, so if we scroll down on these plans here, we get the hosting a website builder options here. So the business plan and the cloud have exactly the same features. You'll notice that the premium plan has all of the advanced AI options grayed off, and the e-commerce features are grayed off. So you can't do an online store with the premium plan. The AI features, honestly, I didn't really use them that much. I think most of us have our own AI tools which we prefer to use in our own workflow, but it's nice that they're included. But I think the e-commerce feature is really the main thing here. If you want to run e-commerce through the hosting a builder, you need to be at least on that business plan here. So if you were going to use hosting as a website builder, definitely go for this plan here. There doesn't seem to be any advantage to be going for the cloud startup here unless you wanted to have more than 100 websites. So if you wanted more websites, you'd need that one. But I think in most cases, this one's going to be the one to go for if you want to use hosting as website builder. If you want to use WordPress, I think there's still benefits to this one, but for hosting as inbuilt builder, this is definitely the one to go for because its performance is just as good as that one. Next up, we've got page speed testing. So I tested a couple of different types of pages. So I have got a WooCommerce shop page on each of the premium, business, and cloud plans. So I set up the identical Cadence WordPress WooCommerce shop here with this campings type store, 14 different products on here. Also tested a basic lightweight page here with just some text, some CSS, and some menus on here. So two different kinds, a lightweight page and an e-commerce page. And I ran this through GTmetrix. I use GTmetrix rather than Google to test this because I like to use an unthrottled connection where I can actually really see the difference in server performance because Google throttles the connection. You can't really see the difference. A lot of times you'll get exactly the same results if you've got exactly the same website. The bottleneck sometimes is Google's own benchmarking tool. So I like to use GTmetrix rather than Google. Let's head over to the results and see how they all compare. All right, so these are our GTmetrix load time. The largest contentful paint is the Core Web Vital that we are measuring here. The lower time is better. We are measuring the load time in seconds here. So the blue bars are the WooCommerce. This is the time to log into the shop and display the shop page as a customer. So this is around 1 second for all the hosts I've tested on the channel. And this orange one is the light static page with just text, CSS, and menus there. So let's go through the results. So very, very similar results across the board here. Very slight advantage to hosting as cloud startup here. 1.1 seconds for the WooCommerce page, 0.49 seconds for the lightweight static page with just text. So good results here. The only thing that has really outperformed this has been Vultr high frequency with the very good WooCommerce 8.88. 0.47. Again, this is a virtual machine that you have to manage yourself in terms of server management. These are fully managed by hosting, so much better for beginners than something like that or Ryzen on RackNerd. So this is really good. I think this is probably my beginner recommendation for people who want to get started with WooCommerce. I think hosting a business or hosting a cloud setup are good choices. They're outperforming SiteGround, outperforming NameHero quite easily, actually. And RocketNet, very good, but some limits and some price increases in comparison to hosting. So I think hosting is probably my pick in terms of an easy to use and fully managed package deal with these business and cloud startup options. And it's worth giving an honorable mention to the premium shared hosting, which keeps up just fine in these simple GTmetrix page speed tests under low traffic conditions. So a lot of cases, if you've got a simple project that doesn't not going to attract much traffic, then the premium shared plan is still going to work okay. Next thing I wanted to mention was email because it's worth talking about because a lot of web hosts, particularly in WordPress, they don't always include email in their package, but hosting actually gives you 100 email boxes that you can use. They all have a storage limit of 1 gigabyte each. You can send threaded emails per day. There are some limitations like message. You can have 15,000 email messages in the box up to 1 gigabyte. So a little bit limited. But again, you get 100 accounts in your plan, and the plan is not particularly expensive in itself. So it's cool that they include that. I did quickly test it out to make sure it works as advertised. So your 100 email accounts, they can be set up to run on your favorite service like Apple Mail, Microsoft Outlook. You got Thunderbird as your open source choice there. You got Google's Gmail. You can run through that. You can run it through a custom setup here, or you can even just run it through the browser, which browser is what I did for the test here. That's just your basic webmail config here. It worked just fine, straight out of the box, landed straight in my primary inbox. And no issues with SPF, DK, IM, or DMARC here, passed straight away. That was really easy to set up. So good that they include that and good that it works well right out of the box. I guess the only thing worth mentioning is that storage limit on the included plans. There's only 1 gigabyte. If you wanted to upgrade them, you're looking at, I think it is $3 initially. It renews at $5 a month. So I do think that's probably not great value. If you want to go beyond what's included in your plan, I'd rather just get a Microsoft Outlook account through Microsoft or a Gmail, Google Workspace account, and go directly through Microsoft or Google for your email if you need more than what you get under the included plan with Hostinger. But I really got to point out that having that DKIM automatically set up, working out of the box, was really important because Google made that mandatory recently. So that works straight away with no issue. And that was the main criticism I had last time I checked the premium plan a year ago, was that they added 30 cents per account if you want a DKIM. Now they got rid of that 30-cent charge. So Hosting is giving us pretty good quality emails, 100 accounts included in our plan. So I do like what they've done with the email and Hostinger lately. Okay, so I think I've done enough testing and benchmarking of these products to make some pretty well-informed conclusions and recommendations. If you're comparing Hostinger's premium plan to Hostinger's business plan to Hostinger's cloud startup plan. So let's start with the Hostinger premium plan. I think this one is a good choice just for basic WordPress sites, so brochure or small blog type sites. Nothing too heavy. I think if you keep it simple, it's going to run pretty well on the premium plan. I wouldn't really recommend having a e-commerce website running WooCommerce on here, just because of that SSD storage. I think the NVMe storage that you get with business or cloud startup is worth the little bit extra to get that file system performance upgrade. So, but for basic websites, it's okay, I think. I would note that the Hostinger builder sites run just as well on here as they do on business or cloud startup. So if you just want a simple website using Hostinger's builder sites, if you're someone coming over from Wix or Squarespace and you just want something a bit better value, I think Hostinger's website builder has got you covered on that premium plan. There's no need to spend more if you don't need any of that WooCommerce or e-commerce type feature. And next up, we've got Hostinger's business plan. So this is their most popular one. I can see why it performs really well. I would recommend using this for most WordPress projects and most e-commerce sites, either if you're using WooCommerce or Hostinger's website builder with its own proprietary e-commerce setup. Small or startup projects should just go straight for that business plan. I think if you're planning to grow into anything useful, the business plan is going to be the one that you should use. And finally, you've got the cloud startup plan. So the cloud startup is a little bit more expensive, but it gives you some more performance specifications here. So that's going to make it suitable for WooCommerce sites that are either larger WooCommerce sites or WooCommerce sites that are experiencing a heavier traffic load. So I think this is especially good for established businesses. If you just want that extra bit of performance, a few dollars probably doesn't really hurt the bottom line. If you're just talking about a few dollars per month, I think having a little bit of extra performance is going to give you all a better user experience to your customers. So it's worth spending a little bit extra if you're an established business. Also, if you're an agency that wants to have the maximum performance, you may as well get that upgraded plan. And if you need to host a large number of domains or a large number of WordPress sites, the Cloud Startup is going to be the one to choose. I should go into this in a little bit more detail because I think this one isn't well understood. Okay, so what I really want to point out here, the difference with this business versus the Cloud Startup, even though it says 100 websites to 300 websites here, in a lot of cases with WordPress, your real limit is going to be the files and directories, the inode limit here. So you've got 600,000 and 2 million. So there's a big difference there. A lot of cases you have WordPress sites use up about 20,000 files, 20,000 inodes. So realistically, rather than having 100 websites, that might only really be 30. For example, 30 WordPress websites, and this is going to be more like 100 WordPress websites. So just keep that in mind if you want to host a large number of websites on your plan. This one's going to give you much better capacity with the Cloud Startup plan. The other thing I forgot to mention was priority support. This one has priority support. This one doesn't. This one doesn't. I'll tell you what that means. So no matter which plan you're on, you'll have a button down on the corner which will give you access to chat support. You can just use these drop downs to choose your issue. Normally it's about setting up a domain, setting up an email. Those are the common kind of issues. If you're on regular support, they'll be able to answer most questions really quickly for beginners setting up their account. For those of us with like a technical background who need support from like a software developer or an engineer, in my experience, that can take, if you're not on priority support, that might take like a whole day for them to get back to you if you want some really technical support. But for most issues, doesn't matter which plan you're on. You could be on premium or business. You don't need priority support. They'll be able to help you with most common issues. They'll be able to help you with everything. It just takes longer if you don't have priority support. So if you're someone who really wants to have a quick turnaround, If you want them to get back to you really quickly, that's where that cloud startup with the priority support is valuable. If you don't mind waiting a bit longer for someone to get back to you, then the business and the premium plans, the quality of the support is just fine. It's just they will work on the issues for people on the more expensive plans before they work on the issues for those on the cheaper plans. So just keep that in mind if you're someone who thinks they might need support regularly. Personally, I don't need support much these days, so it doesn't really matter to me. So just make your decision based on that. So hopefully that's enough for you to make your decision if you've been comparing these plans. Again, you can check out the plans. Link is in the description. Remember to use the code IdeaSpot. That'll give you extra discount compared to what you see advertised normally. But thanks for watching. Let me know if you've got any extra questions in the comments. I'll get back to anyone who asks anything. But thanks for watching. I think the next thing you should check out is the previous video I did where I used hosting as a website builder. That one's worth checking out as well, just to see what you get included with hosting. So check that one out next. But thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.